Heroes of Fantasy Football Podcast.
What's going on, everyone? This is another episode of the Heroes of Fantasy Football Podcast. On today's show, I have myself here, and Warren Weber is joining me doing a mock draft show, one that we're going to be doing every week to track where people go, just keep an eye on ADP. So, Warren, how are we doing tonight?
Pretty good. Pretty excited for this. How about you?
Doing awesome. This is going to be a good exercise, I feel like, just to kind of track things and see where guys are going to go, what shots to take, different strategies we can test out and stuff too. So this is going to be on YouTube. I'm going to make another playlist. It's going to be in a mock draft playlist on our channel, which is at youtube.com/@theheroesff. You can, as always, you can follow us on Twitter or X at the Heroes FF as well. And we actually are on TikTok. So some of you have reached out and commented on some of the videos, some of the craziness that we've been discussing. So thank you for that. It would be really, really helpful for us if you could like, share, and subscribe. Follow the show on everywhere we are. That would be great. And leave a comment in the show. See what guys you like to take. If there's any questions, please leave us a review and with a question, and we'll read it on the show. But let's get to it. What do you say?
Sounds good. And then every week we'll be picking in a different spot. So
yes,
just to shake it up a little bit.
Yeah, we might throw some super flex and stuff in here and there too, because I know some people are in those leagues as well. So let's get this going. I'm gonna share our screen as always. We're gonna do this on Sleeper. Warren is picking at the 8 slot. I am picking at the 12. We're doing a 12-team half PPR league. 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, tight end, and a flex with 5 bench spots. We're not adding defenses or kickers yet because they don't matter. If they're in your league, I'm sorry. They're in my league, and I don't like it, but we have always a guy in the league that says kickers win games, and it's unfortunate, but it's that's how it goes. If anyone hasn't had any success in convincing those people on why we shouldn't have defenses and kickers, other than the obvious reason that we shouldn't, please let us know, because I would love to get rid of those, but don't have the right words, I guess, to convince people. So let's get this thing going here, starting the draft now. Okay. Christian McCaffrey goes 101. CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Bijan Robinson. That's high for what I've seen, but I like it. Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Jamar Chase. I thought Chase was going to fall to you.
I thought Bijan was going to fall to me. That's who I was hoping to take here.
That's usually right around the 8 slot. From the past couple mock drafts I've done, between 6 and 9 is where he usually goes. But
yeah,
where are you thinking here right now?
Let me ask you a question. Do you think CMC is pretty much a lock for the 1.1?
Pretty much. I think he should be the 101.
Yeah, I agree. Okay.
For me, it's a toss-up between him and CeeDee Lamb.
Right. Okay. So on the board here, we still have Breece Hall, AJ Brown, Puka Nacua, Richie's favorite player. I'm gonna go.
He's not here to defend himself, so
yeah, he's not. I'm gonna go, and this might be a little bit of a controversial pick, but I'm gonna go Jahmyr Gibbs here. I think he's gonna have a huge breakout year.
I like that pick. It's a little earlier than I've seen him go, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it, because he could very easily take a step. We just had an episode where we talked about Bijan Robinson being the RB1. There is a path for Gibbs to hit something similar to that. So I would be perfectly okay with that. But after you, it went Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Jonathan Taylor. Now I'm up at the clock. Now, this is where Puka is staring me in the face, and I really, really want to take him here. But there's another guy, and I don't want to go back-to-back Rams. So I'm going to take a little bit of a gamble here. I'm going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. as my first.
Ooh, okay.
There's a ton of buzz, rightfully so. He looks to be amazing. He's in a great situation right now. I think he could break Puka's record this year. That is in the realm of outcomes this season. It's a record, so it's probably low probability, but it's still in the range of outcomes for his talent. So I'm going to start with him, and then now is where I'm going to take a running back. I'm going to take my boy Kyron Williams. I know Joe on our podcast likes to say that Blake Corum is the RB1 in the Rams, and currently he is because Kyron Williams is not playing because he's dealing with a foot injury. But again, it's June, so I'm not really worried about that yet. If it's August and that's still happening, then okay, I'm going to knock him down a little bit. But he is in a situation, the same situation he was in last year, where he went toe to toe with Christian McCaffrey as far as points per game. He was amazing. And I don't think anything Blake Corum does this year, I don't think is really going to make too much of a difference because Kyron Williams is still the guy. It's a Sean McVay offense. He likes to use one guy. He just hasn't had one guy ever since Todd Gurley left. Well, got the boot, but either way. So Kyron Williams is the selection here.
Okay.
Following that, AJ Brown, Puka Nacua, Saquon Barkley, and Warren's up on the clock.
All right. I was hoping Saquon would actually follow me here. I would take back-to-back running backs, which I don't normally do, but I kind of do like Saquon Barkley in his position this year. But, players around that are still left right now, you have Devontae Adams, Drake London, Chris Olave, Brandon Ayuk. I'm going to go a guy by the name of Stephon Diggs here. Obviously, just, he's with Houston now. That offense is stacked. CJ Stroud is a monster. I think sky's the limit for him this year, I think.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little nervous about Diggs, mainly just because not this season, the back half of last year. I'm actually, when this episode comes out, I'm going to be posting an article on our X account. So take a look at that for those of you who are watching or listening. But I wrote up a couple things about Diggs, so I'm not gonna go too crazy into it right now. But it's more just the back half of last year did not do very well for him, and I don't know if that's just what's going to happen, if that was a fluke, but he let people down, me included. I had him in our guillotine league, and I almost lost because he couldn't do anything, and I was, still holding on to his name value. But he's in a situation now where, CJ Stroud just made Tank Dell and Nico Collins a thing. So if it's going to happen, it's going to happen here. So it's a good shot. I'm just personally a little bit more on the outside of Diggs.
Okay.
But following the Diggs pick was Drake London, Chris Olave, Devontae Adams, Sam Laporta, Devon Achane, Josh Allen, and Josh Jacobs to finish out the second round. Third round starts with Travis Kelce, Brandon Ayuk, Derrick Henry, Mike Evans, DJ Moore, Travis Etienne, Deebo Samuel. Where are you thinking now?
So Josh Allen's first quarterback off the board. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
I do agree with that.
Kinda.
Okay.
I'm a little nervous about him too, just because he lost two weapons. I know one of them was Gabe Davis, who was very frustrating to a lot of fantasy managers, but he still played a role. And losing two guys and getting Curtis Samuel to fill the void, it's not really that great. Khalil Shakir, I think we talked last show, he's pretty good. I think we're all pretty bullish on him. And Keon Coleman, it depends on how good he actually is.
Okay. And then Sam Laporta over Travis Kelce. Do you like that?
Yeah, I think I like that.
Okay.
There's another tight end that I like better, but than both of these guys, but we won't get into that yet.
All right, so I'm on the clock here. I have a running back and a receiver. I could go like a Mahomes or a Lamar Jackson here, get my quarterback out of the way, but I think I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do a little bit of a reach here because I don't know if he makes it back to me. I'm gonna take James Cook. I think he's primed for a huge year with like the weapons that they've lost. He's gonna be like one of the main guys there. Receiving and running the ball. So yeah, I think he's in like a perfect position.
I agree. I'm gonna be very excited for James Cook because what did we see when Diggs wasn't doing well last season at the end? What was James Cook doing? Basically going nuclear. So I think that's going to continue. They unlocked something in that offense, and a lot of it had to do with James Cook. So I really like that pick. I think that's a tremendous value for what James Cook could be this year. So then we had Michael Pittman, Nico Collins, Malik Neighbors. I think that's a little bit high. Do you agree? Where do you think about?
I think that's a little high for him. Again, the Giants, you never know with them. Like they still have Danny Dimes over there. So how much action is Malik really going to get? I don't know.
He's going to get everything he can handle. It just depends on
if Danny can get him the ball.
Yeah. Like he could potentially get 170, 180 targets. Catchable targets, probably like 100 total. But it's just going to come down to quarterback play. He's going to be a volume guy. He's probably going to be someone that you're going to want to target next year pretty high. Like this will be if he does really bad this year, because of the offense around him in Dynasty, try to aggressively trade for him because he could easily become the next breakout star next year. I don't know about this year, but so this is where I am going to take my guy. It's an auto pick for me pretty much every time he is around this area. I'm going to pick Jalen Waddle. He, I think, is someone that everyone is a little bit sleeping on a little bit. It wouldn't take much for him to be a wide receiver 1 in fantasy, and getting him this late, at the end of the 3rd round, I would take him over Deebo Samuel, DJ Moore, Michael Pittman, Nico Collins, Malik. I would take him over all those guys. So the fact that I can get him at the end of the 3rd round is tremendous value, in my opinion. Now here's where I'm going to have to make a decision. I can either go Isaiah Pacheco, who is where I'm kind of leading, but there's my guy, Trey McBride, who I think is going to be the tight end 1 this season in fantasy. But the fact that I have Marvin Harrison Jr. is what's kind of keeping me a little bit at bay with that decision. So let's take a shot. I love Trey McBride, and I would take him right here if I didn't have Marvin Harrison Jr. I think both of them can do extremely well. It's just I don't like to have too many players on the same team. If I could help it, sometimes that's the way it works. Last year in our Guillotine League, I forgot I took Jahmyr Gibbs, and I took David Montgomery a couple rounds later. There's 17 round drafts, or 17 team drafts, so it's a little bit easier to forget what guys you picked. But yeah, I'm going to go Isaiah Pacheco. Get my 2 starting wide receivers and 2 starting running backs out of the way.
All righty.
So Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, Rashad White. We're going at the 405.
I'm going to take a page out of your book here. I'm going Trey McBride here. I also think that he's going to have a monster year this year. He went nuclear at the second half of last year, so I think that's only going to carry over. Trey McBride.
Yeah, Trey McBride is someone I'm aggressively trying to get everywhere I can because, first off, talent level pretty high. We saw it last year. He was able to handle targets, And when the Cardinals were doing the best is when Trey McBride was doing his thing. So getting Marvin Harrison Jr., I think, is actually a good thing. I've heard a lot of people say it's not good because now he's got another target earner that he's got to compete with, but they're going to play different positions and they're going to play at different parts of the field. So I think, if anything, it helps draw away coverage from him so he can get those underneath routes and just go. Because I think he's going to be lights out this year. So I love that pick. DK Metcalf after that, CJ Stroud, big run of quarterbacks. CJ Stroud, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Cooper Kupp, Mark Andrews, and Zay Flowers to round out round 4. Round 5 is Joe Mixon, Tank Dell, George Pickens, Keenan Allen, Alvin Kamara, Dalton Kincaid, and T. Higgins. What do you think about Stroud over Mahomes and Lamar?
I think all three of those guys are going to be kind of around the same in points. Obviously Lamar has the legs, has rushing yards, coming off an MVP year season, but I think Stroud has the highest upside. And one thing I did notice is that all of Houston's position players are gone except for Dalton Schultz, but like Tank Dell, Mixon, Nico Collins, Diggs are all gone by this point. So that's pretty interesting.
Especially because last year, remember last year when we're all looking like these Texans are going to suck. And not only did they not suck, they made the playoffs. And CJ Stroud showed that, S2 test or whatever that test thing that he quote unquote failed means nothing because he could process pretty good. So I'm very, very excited for CJ Stroud. In redraft is the only time I'm a little bit hesitant because the quarterback position itself, if you're not super flex, they're a little bit more replaceable. There's other quarterbacks later in the draft that I can get that could give me solid weeks, and I can, it's more of a give and a take. Like you can get like a Jared Goff or maybe an Aaron Rodgers if he actually plays this year. There's some other guys there too that you can kind of pair together and make a really good pick and will really help solidify your team versus getting someone at what might be their ceiling. Like, do we think CJ Stroud could finish in the top 3? Because I don't know. I'm not. If I had to put a percentage to it, I would say maybe 60-65%. Like, where do you think his ceiling is?
I would say top 3 might be tough. I'd say top 5 for sure. I think it's Lamar. I think it's Mahomes. Probably Josh Allen, and then you've got guys like Jalen Hurts, and then maybe CJ Stroud. So
yeah. Okay. So what are you thinking about at the 508?
So I've got my 2 running backs. I got my tight end. I need a receiver quarterback here. And a guy that jumps out at me right away. I'm not biased. I'm going to take Amari Cooper here. He's been the model of consistency for the Browns the past 2 years. And, last year he lit it up 1,300 yards and like 10 touchdowns, something like that. Did good with Watson, did good with Joe Flacco, did good with DTR, who was in there for a little bit. Did good with pretty much any quarterback. He's just a model of consistency. I don't know.
Yeah. I think he could have a good season this year. He always seems to be like a value guy. He's kind of like the new Tyler Lockett, where like every year you get him a little bit later and he does the same thing. Like there's a value to that. And Amari Cooper, I think, is now that, which is crazy. But hey, if it works, it works. So after the Amari Cooper pick was Kyle Pitts. I'm not gonna lie, I was hoping he fell to me because I was going to select him. Aaron Jones, Rome Odunze. So now I'm up at the clock here. My team currently is Marvin Harrison Jr., Jalen Waddle at wide receiver, and then Kyron Williams and Isaiah Pacheco at running back. Now, this is where I'm going to choose a guy that I haven't taken yet in any mock draft. we did post a video the other day where someone disagrees with my take that he is going to be a very, very good player for fantasy. I'm going to take my guy, Anthony Richardson. I don't care that he got injured. I don't care that he only played a couple games last year. It was a freak injury. He is maybe behind a little bit right now, but his rushing baseline alone is what's going to make him a top 10 quarterback. Last year in our bold prediction show, we were talking about the quarterbacks. He was someone I said if he gets, 800 yards, he's immediately automatically a top 8 quarterback. And he was on pace to pretty much hit that. It didn't work out. Things happen. So Anthony Richardson is going to be my quarterback, and I am not at all worried about him in the slightest. Now, this is where I have 2 pretty good wide receivers and 2 good running backs. So I can kind of do whatever I want here. And I'm going to select someone who I think is going to be the wide receiver 1 on his team and is going to get a lot of targets and take a step forward in his second year in the NFL. I'm going to make a slight reach just because I have like 24 picks before I get another one. I'm going to pick Jaden Reed.
What about Tavian Wicks? He's the wide receiver 1 there, right?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Okay.
Take a look at our YouTube tomorrow. Well, when you're watching this, it'll be that day. So go check our YouTube shorts and you'll see what we're talking about. But after Jaden Reed went Ken Walker, David Montgomery, and Christian Kirk. I was between Kirk and Reed. Which one would you have picked?
I don't know
Kirk
how big
is consistent.
Yeah, he is consistent.
Reed has upside.
Yes. And this could be Jordan Love's breakout year. I do like the Reed pick a little bit better, I think.
That's kind of what I was between that consistency with 2 guys, but with Waddle maybe with a little bit more of an injury potential. I figured let's shoot for the stars.
Yeah.
So what are you thinking here?
All right. So I pretty much have all my position players. Just need quarterback and then someone to fill in for my flex. I see Joe Burrow here. I mean, the big question with him is, can he stay healthy? Because if he's healthy, he's going to put up numbers. I mean, that's all they do is pass. So
he's another one. I think last year was just it just wasn't in the cards, which happens all the time, and we get that all the time where it's just random years where people just get injured.
Yeah,
it's nothing about them. It's just unfortunate.
But I am going to pass on him for now, and I'm going to take Ramondre Stevenson here. Just signed a pretty big extension, so obviously they have something planned for him. And I think with a rookie quarterback, I think they're going to be running the ball quite a bit this year. So I think that he's in for a big year.
I think so too. All right, so then we had DeAndre Swift, Rashee Rice, James Conner, Chris Godwin, George Kittle, Raheem Mostert, and Jordan Love in the 6th round. 7th round starts with Terry McLaurin, Tony Pollard, Joe Burrow, Najee Harris, Jordan Addison, Zamir White, and Brock Bowers. So you're up here on the clock at the 7:08.
Right. I'm going to grab my quarterback here. I'm going to go Dak. I know he's not great in the playoffs, but regular season, his numbers are usually always there. So, just a solid pick, I think, for like a mid-round, a mid pick. So,
yeah. Before when I was talking about quarterbacks you can get if you don't go with one of the top guys, this round. Look, we're in the 7th round. Joe Burrow, Dak Prescott, and Kyler Murray. All of those are, I think, tremendous values where they're going. I would rather wait on to get one of them than get a Josh Allen or Jalen Hurts. That could be stupid. It could be a mistake, but I think I can get value elsewhere, especially at a position like that. So I'm up here on the clock. I do not have a tight end, and I'm looking right now. There's one guy here I think that is going to be it's kind of like the end of a tier for me at the tight end position where I'm willing to take the shot. So I'm going to do just that. I'm going to take Evan Engram on the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think he is going to be a benefactor from Calvin Ridley moving on. And, they brought in a couple other guys, but I think Evan Engram has shown enough that he is going to be able to do whatever he wants. And he's going to demand targets in that offense. So I will select him there. Now we're looking at where I want to go from here. I only have 2 running backs, so I'm looking at the running back position right now, but it's just not really that great. So there's one guy I want, but I don't know if he's going to make it back to me. So I'm debating on selecting him here, but there's also a few other guys that might be I don't want to miss. So I'm going to take a shot. This is going to be a little bit of a reach, and it might not pay out for the first couple weeks of the season, but I'm going to select Jonathan Brooks. We don't know if he's going to be back with the team yet for week 1 with that injury, but he's someone where I'm going to hold on to and see, because if he gets a lion's share of the workload in Carolina, which I think he should, because he's immediately the best player on that team. Chuba Hubbard be damned. But I think he could pay off, especially the second half of the year, and be a really tremendous pick and value. Now we have Xavier Worthy, Calvin Ridley, and DeAndre Hopkins going next.
Maybe I'm just missing him. Did Mike Evans go?
I believe he did.
Yeah, he did. Okay, 3rd round. Oh,
Yeah.
He went pretty early. Okay. What do you think of Team 7 strategy? Would you recommend this? So they went receiver with their first 5 picks. Is that something you'd recommend?
I mean, DeAndre Swift being your RB1 on your team, probably not the best idea, but I think he's also going to surprise this season as well. So that's basically like 0 RB strategy. Like, you're not going for anybody big. You're trying to get targets. And with Jamar Chase, Drake London, Deebo Samuel, and DK Metcalf, I think I just realized wow, what is Team 7 doing?
And Team 10, you see Team 10 over there?
Team 7 drafted Jamar Chase and then T. Higgins. I mean, I like the friendship strategy, but it's a little weird. And then Team 10, yeah. I mean, Team 10's not terrible. I'd prefer Team 10 over 7.
I mean, 6 receivers in the first 8 rounds is kind of wild to me, but to each their own. All right. I'm going to take a little bit of a gamble here. And I'm going to go Nick Chubb. This is a guy that obviously is not going to start the season. He'll probably be back some point mid-season. But if he can come back and be the same old Nick Chubb that he was before he got injured, that could be a league winning draft right there. Well, draft choice right there.
It could. Yeah, I feel so bad for Nick Chubb. He's just such a good running back, and he just keeps getting the shaft. It really sucks.
It does suck.
But hopefully he shows back up and does Chubb things, because if anyone can come back from that, it's him. So following Mr. Nicholas Chubb was Jalen Warren, Javonte Williams, David Njoku, Austin Eckler, Deontay Johnson, Jameson Williams, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. Then at round 9 is Christian Watson, Brian Thomas Jr., Zach Moss, Jake Ferguson, Caleb Williams, Keon Coleman, and Brock Purdy. You're back up on the clock. We have 4 picks remaining.
Okay. And I only have 2 receivers at this point, so I'm not really looking great there, but I'm looking around and there's really no one right now that I would really want to reach here yet. So I'm going to go ahead and take another tight end here in case the Trey McBride thing doesn't work out for whatever reason. I'm going to go ahead and grab TJ Hawkinson.
It's another good strategy.
Yeah.
Because he might be another one that starts on PUP or something too. So definitely, while you're in the drafts, I recommend highly looking like it. I'm okay drafting a player who's injured and who's not going to start the season right away, because then especially if you have IR slots, you throw them on the IR and you get to pick another player when the draft is over. So like, take a look at that too. Like that's a strategy in and of itself. So I highly recommend doing that. So then we had Dallas Goedert, Tua Tagovailoa, Trey Benson, and I'm back up at the clock here. Don't really know where I'm going to go. I'm leaning towards wide receiver just because I think that's going to be the area I should go to, fill out a little bit of depth. I have Marvin Harrison Jr., Jalen Waddle, and Jaden Reed, but that's kind of it. I'm okay at running back right now. I'll probably grab another guy later. Quarterback, tight end. I don't typically draft more than one of them, one of the onesie positions, because I'd rather just play the waiver wire when it gets time for that. So the wide receivers that are on the board right now are Adonai Mitchell. I'm a little nervous about him. I don't really want to select a rookie with a rushing quarterback. They just don't tend to do very well. But then there's really no one else. Tyler Lockett's here, but I think he's going to take a decent step back this season with Jackson Smith and Jigba, hopefully taking a big step forward in that offense. I'm gonna take a guy that we were talking about on the last show, and we're excited for, and I have him very, very high in my rankings, maybe too high. I'll have to relook at it, but I'm going to take Khalil Shakir, who I think is going to be the wide receiver one on that team right out the gate and catch passes from Josh Allen, which isn't, last I checked, wasn't a bad thing. So I'll go with there. And now I should probably get another running back. And I see the RB1 currently on the Chargers, Mr. Gus Edwards, on a team I think is going to run the ball. But there's also the chance I could take Blake Corum and get my handcuff. But how do you feel about getting handcuffs, like drafting handcuffs?
I think they're good, obviously, for running backs that are injury prone, or like two-headed monsters, something like that. But like Blake Corum here, I don't think would be a bad pick, for example.
Yeah, that's what I'm leaning towards that, but I don't know, something about just drafting a handcuff running back. I've done it in the past when I draft Dalvin Cook and Alexander Madison, and it just never paid that much, I guess, to me, in my opinion. So like I tend to shy away, I realize, just because like if I'm gonna lose, I'm gonna lose swinging the bat. Like I'm gonna take a shot on a guy that someone else's running back is gonna get hurt, and I'll draft their backup. And then, because if anything, if they do, one, I either get the starting running back for the team, and I get an additional one, or I'm weak in another position. Okay, I'm gonna trade him to you, and then you're going to give me a piece that I need because you also need your backup. So I tend to like that strategy a little bit better. So I'm going to do just that. I'm not going to take Blake Corum. I'm going to take Tajay Spears on the Tennessee Titans, and seems to be the backup to Tony Pollard, but I think he's going to play in a pass catching role mostly, and I think that's going to bode very well for his skill set and the style of offense that they're going to play. I think the Titans might surprise a little bit this season, and I think they might be better than we all think they are. They might be like the next Texans, where everyone thinks they're going to suck because, I mean, they might, but they could be pretty good actually.
Okay, I saw a guy go right after you just picked Devin Singletary. What are your thoughts on him?
I think Devin Singletary is an excellent NFL running back. I don't think he's very good for fantasy. Uh, and even the excellent, maybe that's a poor choice of words being excellent, but he's a very solid back. He does what he needs to do. His yards per carry aren't atrocious. He's just more of like a low ceiling but high floor type fantasy running back. Is that kind of where you think, or do you?
Yeah, I was just curious because this guy he put up some pretty good numbers for Houston last year, so I'm a little surprised he's not a little higher up, personally, because
It's the
he's going to be
Giants
the RB1 for the that is
Yeah.
true. It is the Giants.
Yeah.
So, all right,
Yeah, the Giants are going to suck, so it's going to be bad run, okay running back on a bad team. It's like I don't know if it's going to be worth it. I mean, we're in the 10th round, so now it's worth it. But he's not going to. I don't think he's going to go. Where do you think the highest he's going to go? Round 9, maybe. We get glowing reviews that the Giants don't look terrible, and Devin Singletary's the getting all the work as the RB1. He's still going to be a 9th round pick at the highest, I think.
Yeah.
So.
All right. From here on out, for me, it's pretty much just going to be pretty receiver heavy. Again, I only have 2 up to this point. I'm going to reach for somebody here that I think is going to have a pretty decent year. I'm going to go Mike Williams, barring he stays healthy. He's supposed to be ready for the regular season, week 1. But when he's in there, he's a beast. But again, that's when he's in there.
Yeah.
And okay.
Decent run here.
Yeah.
I thought I kind of thought Blake Corum might fall to you, and I figured you were going to take him, or I was going to get the shot to take him, but not going to happen. We had a
Justin
decent
Herbert.
run.
Man, his value just completely dropped this year, huh?
Oh yeah, I think I'm a little earlier in the offseason, I was comparing Justin Herbert and Josh Allen's situation because Herbert lost Keenan Allen and Mike Williams.
And
Josh Allen lost Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs. And yet people were not worried even in the slightest for Josh Allen, but Justin Herbert was basically dead to everybody. And it's still happening. Now, I think Josh Allen is in a better situation just because he can run a little bit more. But we like to talk about guys that potentially get injured. I mean, Josh Allen runs he's built like he can run through a truck. But at some point, Cam Newton was the same way until he wasn't. So there is that concern. And I think we're doing Justin Herbert a little bit dirty.
Yeah. And
what do you think? I know you have him in Dynasty, but what do you think is his ceiling is this year?
Yeah, it's just, I mean, looking at their roster, on the surface, it's probably where he should be. They don't really have anyone.
Yeah.
But then another part of me is Jim Harbaugh has to have some sort of plan.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Jim Harbaugh. So I don't really know. I mean, he's such a good coach that he's got to have something cooked up. But let's see. Probably going to go another receiver here. Man, this is where it gets a little tough because there's not a ton left here. I am going to take a shot on Tyler Lockett. I do think that JSN passes him this year, but I still think that he'll be a solid, number 3 receiver for them.
Yeah, another thing to think about too, when you're drafting your team, you don't need every person you draft to be great the entire season. Tyler Lockett could start off really, really well and then trail off, but that's fine because you can go on waiver wire, you can make trades, you can do all these things. Think about that. That's kind of what I was thinking with Jonathan Brooks, where I know he's not going to do much in the beginning of the season, but in the second half of the year, that's where he could pay off for me. So take a look at some of these guys and don't think, oh, I need every person to hit and be good all year round. Look at, okay, I have this guy for a couple weeks. If he starts out well, like right now, we have 2 more picks left. I'm on my last 2 picks. I'm going to pick guys that I think could do something, um, and jump a tier and be a guy that gets me through a little bit. You don't need every person to hit, and don't draft like that. Take shots where you can, because that's how you win in fantasies. You take shots. If they pay off, great. You have a valuable asset. If they don't, go to the waiver wire, make a trade, make a move, do something, and fix the situation you're in. It's an ever evolving situation. So just keep going through it. Now I'm here. I'm gonna pick. I feel like I originally I didn't really like to be at the 12 slot, but I kind of like it because I'm getting every guy that I really like. I'm going to take Zach Charbonnet. Um, the only person ahead of him is Ken Walker. It's a completely new coaching staff in Seattle. Maybe they're going to use him more. Last year it was the Pete Carroll way. Maybe he didn't chew gum enough, so he sat the bench a little bit more. So now in this situation, we don't exactly know what's going to happen. So I'll take the shot. 11th round, Zach Charbonnet. I'll take it. Now, probably going to go wide receiver here. It's just I don't know which one. Um, you know what? I'm going to take someone that I think is going to be severely undervalued this year, and I'm going to take Jahan Dotson on the Washington Commanders. He is someone that has had flashes, but again, poor quarterback play has limited his upside. But we've seen it. I mean, Carson Wentz made this guy pretty good. It wouldn't surprise me if he has a pretty outlier season, and last pick of the draft being a guy that could show upside with a new quarterback on the Commanders, with Jaden Daniels. I think I'm okay with that. It was between him and Josh Palmer, but we're gonna pick Jahan Dotson and see how it goes.
Wow.
So last pick, what are we thinking?
I was about to pick Troy Franklin. That's crazy. That's a little wild that he went right there.
Team 9 heard you.
Yeah, I guess so. Okay. Touche. I think I am going to finish it off with a receiver again. Man, just there's not a ton here. I don't see Lad McConkey in here.
I think he went. Yeah, he went 7-11.
Did he go?
Yeah, he went after me. Or right before.
Oh, wow. He actually, okay.
7-11. They
7-11.
Team 11 heard the podcast the other day talking about Lad McConkey. Must be.
All right. Well, I'm going to take a guy that could potentially have a decent second year after a pretty poor first year. Quentin Johnston.
Excellent. He's got to catch a ball at some point, right?
Yes, at some point. I mean, they don't have anything there, so
he can get 200 targets as long as he, I mean, if he misses 50% of them, that's still 100. Still 100. I'll take it. I gotta say, I really like this team, and there's a button here that I see on my end that says convert to league. I'm really tempted to do it just because I want to see how it plays out. Why don't you run down your team, and we'll do the same with mine.
Sure. So quarterback, I will have Dak Prescott. My 2 starting running backs will be Jahmyr Gibbs and James Cook. 2 starting receivers are Stephon Diggs, Amari Cooper. Starting tight end is Trey McBride, Ramondre Stevenson, and on my flex. And then on my bench, it's Nick Chubb for my my running back. Obviously, we'll start on the IR, so we'll probably be able to pick someone up there. TJ Hawkinson, same thing there. And then I'll have Mike Williams, Tyler Lockett, and Quentin Johnson rounding it out for my receivers.
Nice. All right. So I picked from the 12 slot. My quarterback is Anthony Richardson. Running backs are Kyron Williams and Isaiah Pacheco. My wide receivers are Marvin Harrison Jr. and Jalen Waddle. Tight end is Evan Engram. Right now in the flex, I have Jaden Reed. On my bench, I have Jonathan Brooks, Khalil Shakir, Tajay Spears, Zach Charbonnet, and Jahan Dotson. I really, really like my team a lot. These are like the Matt High, like the hall of players. These are all guys I'm very, very excited for this season.
It's the Hall of High.
There we go. The Hall of High. I like that. Yeah. I'm gonna keep that. That's a good idea. But yeah, I really like this team. How are you feeling about your team?
I like my starting lineup a ton. My bench is a little bit shaky. I do like your bench way more than I like mine. But I do like my starting lineup quite a bit.
Nice. All right. Well, this is the draft. Thank you for watching. Again, please like, share, subscribe, follow the show. Let us know how you think we did. Let us know what picks you would have taken, or if there's any guys in here that you think are busts either one of us took. We want to hear everything, the good, bad, and ugly. It doesn't matter. We can take it. We have a thick skin. So until next time, we'll see everyone later.
See ya.